Hey y'all, this is Travis with Hoss Tools, and this is a little segment we do called Garden Goodies. It's just a compilation of short videos that we shoot on our phone throughout the week as we're walking through the gardens, harvesting things, weeding, doing whatever we have to do to maintain a vegetable garden so we can grow our own food. I really hope you enjoy it, and if you have any questions, always put those in the comments below and we'll try to answer them for you. Ain't that pretty right there? Y'all, when I put this here picking bucket on, let me see if I can turn the camera around and show you. When I put this thing on, I become a cherry tomato picking machine. And we out here getting them, and I usually don't like to pick these things wet. But it's been raining every afternoon the last 3 days, and I finally got a little break here about an hour before it gets dark, and so I'm just gonna have to pick them wet for any more of them fall, or the birds get after them, or they split. This rain has done a little bit of a number on my tomatoes, but we're gonna get what we can get out of here, and we're getting pretty good today with our picking bucket. Got some nice pretty cherry tomatoes in there. A few of them on the vines are splitting, but getting a decent harvest in here right now, getting after these sun golds. You can see them pretty puppies in there. And with these, we like to pick just about anything that's yellow and orange. So that one right there's got a couple gnats on it, or did. We'll get those. We'll get these like right here. It's a little orange, and we'll get any that's darker than that too. And they're good to eat, kind of in that color range there. You like them a little more tart, you like them a little more sweet. They're all good to eat. And then the other ones we got here are these sweeties. These red ones here, which are nice and sweet and tasty. Uh-oh, look at there. That one done split on me. I might just need to eat that one right now. But you can see there, that sweetie's a nice, pretty, really good tasting cherry tomato there. So we're gonna finish picking here with this bucket here. I can pick with 2 hands, and it don't take me about half the time to work through here and get all these cherry tomatoes. Now, this foliage is pretty thick here. I can't get every one of them, but I get most of them, and that's all that matters. Then I'm gonna have to take them inside, I reckon, lay them out on a table and let them dry before I put them in the refrigerator. I put these in little pint containers, the little breathable berry containers. Put them in the fridge, and they keep pretty good that way. Usually get a week and a half storage out of them that way. On our last little short video, I showed you me out there picking these cherry tomatoes while they were still wet. Now if I'm picking them dry, I usually take them straight to the fridge. So we do the cherry tomatoes a little different than we do the big tomatoes. I've showed you also in a previous video how we just set the big tomatoes out there on the table under the barn and let them do their thing and ripen there. These actually store pretty well in the fridge in the right container. And what we use are these things right here, these little berry containers like you might see at the supermarket. So we just buy these things in a bundle off Amazon. I can't remember how many comes in a packet. So we get 50 or so at the time, because we put these in our weekly vegetable bags. And so this makes a great little container to keep them in the fridge. They keep really well in these containers because they are breathable. They have holes in them there, so they store really well in there. And so we put some in our vegetable bags, and my little boy Titus loves these things, so he always eats a few with every meal. So usually I grab these things from the field, you know, from the tomato vines, put them in a bucket, or sometimes I pick them straight into these things out in the field there, and they go straight to the fridge. Because these were wet, I had to lay them out on a towel for a day or so, let them dry before I put them in here. So you can see we've got all kind of different shades here. Looks like there's a bunch of different varieties, but there's only 2 here, the Sweetie and the Sun Gold. It's just lots of different stages of ripeness, but they're all tasty there. And so we just put them in there, just like that right there. Fill them up. We don't want to put too many in there to where it squishes them when we close the lid. But we can get quite a few little pint containers out of one picking. Looks like I'm gonna get close to at least 10 pints out of this one picking. There's my culls there, ones that I didn't notice were bad when I picked them, or either they went bad while they were sitting here, so we definitely don't want to put those in there. But we're gonna pick through the rest of these here, get them in these containers, get these in the fridge, and these things will keep usually for a week or longer in the fridge in those containers right there. So this time of year when our tomatoes are getting nice and ripe and ready is when we really hammer down on the BLTs for supper time. Today I want to show you how we make our BLTs, because it's a very specific way we like to do it. Let's start off first thing with our bread. I want to start off with some good toasted white bread, or light bread as we like to say in the South. Sometimes I use some bigger pieces, some more specialty bread, just some standard white bread right here. Gotta have your Duke's mayonnaise. That's the only kind of mayonnaise. In my opinion, the mayonnaise aisle should just consist of this. There's no other real kind of mayonnaise. We got our lettuce right here. Unfortunately, down here in the deep South, growing tomatoes doesn't coincide with lettuce, so we always have to just buy our lettuce. It would be nice if we could grow lettuce during the same time we grow tomatoes. It's just too hot down here, we can't. We got our bacon right here. Now, don't go buy that old watered down bacon in the package at the grocery store. That stuff not any good. Go to your local butcher shop. If you don't make your own bacon, go to your local butcher shop and get you some good market bacon. That's the way to go. And then as far as tomatoes here, I had a lot to pick from out on my table, a lot of them getting ripe, and I've been working on them red snappers pretty hard. But tonight we went with these Chef's Choice orange tomatoes, and these things, look how pretty those are. They're pretty and they're real tasty. So we're gonna make some nice big slices here. And I don't know if this is just an old timer thing or what, but my dad and my grandparents and my wife's grandparents, they all insist on peeling their tomatoes. And I have never understood it, because everything just holds together so much better when you don't peel them. And that peeling's good for you. So we don't peel our tomatoes. We just slice them up just like this. Look at that. Ain't that pretty right there? Nice meaty tomato. Perfectly ripe there. I might as well go and slice this other one, because can't have too many. We'll throw those little pieces there away. But we got plenty. Need you a good sharp knife. Slice them about an 1/8 of an inch thick, 1/8 to 1/4. You need them big old slices. I'll show you in a minute. So we got all our ingredients ready here. First thing we're gonna go in, we're gonna come in here with a heavy helping of this Duke's mayonnaise. You about can't get too much mayonnaise on the BLT. And in case you're wondering what this is a sandwich knife. My wife made fun of me when I bought this thing, but this thing has been quite handy for making sandwiches and cutting sandwiches. We'll get a little bit more on there. You get a heavy helping of that Duke's mayonnaise on there. Then the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna come in here with some bacon. And you about can't put too much bacon on these things. Now when I cook my bacon, I like to cut it in half so it fits better on a sandwich here. And everybody's got their own way of cooking their bacon. I like my bacon a little more kind of chewy than crispy. I don't care for burnt crispy bacon. I like to be able to taste the meat on my bacon. So we're gonna come in here. We're gonna make sure we put plenty of bacon on that rascal there. I might have to, that might be good. We need to leave some for everybody else. Then we're gonna come in with our tomatoes. Big old piece of tomato there. That one takes up the whole sandwich. Let's put 2 of them on there. That'll be just right there. Then we got to come in here with a little salt, a little pepper. gotta have that. So let's get some more fresh ground salt there. Fresh ground pepper. And I've even been known, if I can find some real quick. My wife's probably hiding it. But I've been known to put some of that, there it is right there. Put some of this Cavender's on there too, that makes it extra special. Then we come in here on top, some of this lettuce right here. It's old store-bought iceberg lettuce, that's all we can get this time of year. Put our top on it. Now we just need to cut it in half. Now that's a big old sandwich right there for a big old boy. We're gonna kind of smush it down. If we can hold it all together here. I believe it's gonna stay together for us. That little sandwich knife comes in handy. Everything cut. Look at that. Shoo-wee! That's pretty stuff right there. That's gonna be some good eating tonight, y'all. Don't get no better than that. That's a fine tomato right there, that Chef's Choice orange. So we just got through picking a few buckets of tomatoes, and I want to show you how we store them until they ripen. So this is our pole barn right here. It was open air, but it's shaded a good bit cooler in here than it is out there at the garden that you see there. And so we have found over the years that when you're picking tomatoes, especially if you don't pick them all vine ripe, you want to let them ripen sitting out like this. It's best not to shock them temperature wise. So you don't want to take them from that vine and put them in a real cool place, certainly not the refrigerator. So we set them on these tables out here underneath our pole barn and let them ripen up that way, and it does just right. Now, I'm fully aware that tomatoes are going to have the best flavor if picked ripe off the vine. However, just like the last few days, we're liable to get just a bunch of rain all of a sudden, which can make these things split. Liable to get a worm every now and then, trying to gnaw on one like that guy right there. And so when I go out there picking tomatoes, I pick everything that is starting to turn the least little bit. So just like this guy right here, it looks kind of green, but you can see there's some pink on it. It's starting to turn. So anything that has any pink to it, we go ahead and pick it. So that's why you see all different color shades of green to pink to kind of orange to red in here. And these that are just now starting to turn, that's what makes them fine fried green tomatoes right there. Now, this one here, that's what you call picking vine ripe. That's gonna be full of flavor right there. And we got a bunch of different varieties out here. Let me show you. So these real big ones right here, these whoppers, are those red snappers. And that's some of the biggest tomatoes I've ever grown. Those things are huge. But the majority of these that are more kind of normal sized tomatoes are our Brickyard and our Bella Rosas, which are our home run producers. They just seem to make more tomatoes than anything else. Those red snappers seem to have a little bit more vigor as far as the plants go, and the tomatoes are bigger, but I think we get a few more tomatoes from the Bella Rosa and the Brickyard. So that's what a lot of these here are. They kind of all look the same. Here we've got one of our Chef's Choice orange, and those are some great tasting tomatoes right there. That one there is almost perfect. Right here, we got one of those black creme tomatoes, heirloom variety, and these things taste delicious. And that one right there feels like it is ready to go on a sandwich pretty soon. If we go over here, some of these little smaller ones here, and they look kind of nasty because it's been raining, it's wet out there and dirt splashes on them. But some of these smaller ones here are those Homestead tomatoes, and those things have held up real good. real productive, and they taste good too. So I kind of like the smaller ones there. And then lastly here we've got our Tachi tomatoes, which are paste type, and these things are just now starting to really put out. They're loaded, but it took a while for them to turn, and we had a few of these we threw in with our tomatoes that we canned the other day, and we'll have a lot more pretty soon here. So we got a little bit of a smorgasbord there, all different colors, different types, and it won't take but a few days for these puppies here to ripen up, and we'll be ready to jar some more tomatoes. I wanted to give y'all an update on our South Anna butternut squash that was kind of taking over the world there for a little bit. It's kind of calmed down a little bit. We've been able to keep the edges trimmed back with the lawnmower, and we get a lot of people will ask us, you know, this time of the year, something's wrong with my pumpkins. They're all dying. They look rough. They were looking good, and now they all kind of look rough, like you see some of this in the middle here. And folks, this is completely natural. This is part of the natural pumpkin or winter growing squash process. So when these things get towards the end of their lifespan, everything in here start dying back. Now we still got a little ways to go, still a good bit of green in there. We can start to see the early stages of what we like to call the dieback. Disease will get in there, and the plants have just done what they're gonna do. They made all the fruit they're gonna make. Now these could go another month or so. We'll just have to see when it gets short enough where everything is died back, kind of like almost like that right there in the middle. You can see that's died back pretty good. But when that happens over this entire plot here, that's when, or one of the ways we'll know when it's time to harvest. So if you see your pumpkins or winter squash doing this right here, do not fret and do not worry. It's actually a good little sign, because it means you're gonna be eating some nice winter squash or pumpkins soon. We got some decent looking butternuts in here. You can see one right there kind of hidden down there. Interesting to see how our harvest is gonna be. Something tells me I may have planted them a little too thick. I'm not gonna get as many per plant as I would normally get, but it did provide some excellent ground cover planting them thick that way. We'll see when we go in here and harvest them all at one time and count them all up, kind of what we ended up with, and kind of determine in future years if we should plant them a little further apart than 2 feet along the road. I think I might have planted them a little too close. I had no idea they was gonna grow crazy like this right here. But lessons learned, and regardless, we're gonna get some decent butternut squash out of here, and this stuff will store for a while for us and be good groceries on into the winter. Now I've grown a lot of varieties of sweet corn over the years, but I believe this Temptress quad sweet corn here is the tallest sweet corn I have ever grown. You see on up there, if you go from ground to tip of the tassel, some of this stuff's 8 foot tall up there. It's some tall sweet corn, looking nice and green. Now I do got some crabgrass issues in there, as you can see, pretty bad. This is my weediest plot of the 10 I have, so we're gonna have to do some management in there, probably some tarping, something other to get that weed seed bank down, because we got bad crabgrass in there. But our corn's looking good, looking nice and green, and getting some ears on there, silks there. These things are getting pollinated right now. Wind blowing a little bit, shaking that pollen down on them corn ears. Some of these, we're getting 2 ears per stalk. Now with that Avalon we grew earlier this year, we only got 1 ear per stalk. Some of these we're getting 2. Another interesting thing about this, although the bottom stalks down here are pretty thick, on up top, these stalks are pretty thin right there. So just a little different looking corn than that Avalon we grew, which was a triple sweet. Like I said, this is a quad sweet, and I'll show you here. Look at there. So we're getting 2 ears on that stalk right there. And these don't have the purple on the silks or the red on the silks, the anthocyanin, like the Avalon does. So these are just all white silks here. But hopefully everything gets pollinated nicely, and we'll give this quad sweet a try here in a few weeks when it's ready. Looks like we're gonna have a good early to mid-summer harvest of sweet corn. Can't ever have too much sweet corn. Our others already been eaten or froze and put up, and I think we're gonna put up a vast majority of this stuff right here, considering or hoping that it's good, and I got a good feeling about it.